All right, so new question, but we're going to handle this with that same grace here. We have x over 3 equals 2/5, or 2 over 5. So, my party people, remember, when we're trying to solve equations, all we really concern ourselves with is, hey, what operation do I look at? What operation am I currently seeing? And then I'll work backwards. One more time, everybody. What operation am I currently looking at? So everybody tell me here, on the x, what operation is this 3 doing to the x? Yeah, we're currently observing division. We are currently looking at division. X over 3 means x divided by 3. So all we have to do is ask ourselves, what is the opposite of dividing by 3? Hit me, everybody. Yeah, multiply by 3. So we'll go ahead and do that here. I'll multiply both sides by 3. And remember that when you're multiplying with fractions, inherently, if you're multiplying a whole number, that's going to belong in the numerator. Okay, everybody? That's going to belong in the numerator. So when we do that, we're going to multiply the 2 and the 3 together. Everyone, what is 2 multiplied by 3? And these 3's over here cancel out. But 2 multiplied by 3 gives us 6. And so we end up with x equals 6 over 5. Now, before we continue, I want to show you that there is another way to do this. If you wanted to cross multiply, you absolutely could, because this is absolutely in the form of a proportion. So if we looked at it like this, x over 3 equals 2/5, you would get the same exact result. Take a look. I will cross multiply 3 times 2 and x times 5. So we have 5x equals 6. Now, when we take a look at this here, everybody, what is the opposite of multiplying by 5? Help me out. Opposite of multiplying by 5? Yeah, that's going to be division. And so we'll divide by 5 and we are all good. Check this out right there and right there. Going to cancel out on the left and we have x equals 6 over 5. Same exact solution, same exact answer, and we're good. So there we are. The correct answer here is A, 6 over 5. All right, new problem, but same process. We are going to read that question first. Again, understand your goal, interpret your information, and then get a solution going. So here we are. It says if the temperature is C equals 25 degrees Celsius, what is F? So let's make sure that we don't, again, rush so much that we forget what's obvious in front of us. Because when we read a question that starts with the word if, it's super easy to confuse the first thing you see. So like if the temperature is C equals 25 degrees Celsius, you might think that you've read the question. Oh, I'm looking for C. No, not quite. It's giving you conditional information here. Everybody, what we're really trying to find is not C, but what we're really trying to find is F. That's what we want. So again, being able to interpret the information is way more important than being fast at calculating, because one mistake and you can be solving for the complete other thing. So with that, here we go. We want to find F. We have our equation right here, the relationship between Fahrenheit and Celsius. F equals 1.8 C plus 32. So right here, booyah, and we have everything written out. Now, what we have is the value of C given to us. C is 25 degrees Celsius. So that means that we are not going to replace F with 25. We are replacing C with 25. That's what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. And let's rewrite what we have. We have F equals 1.8 multiplied by 25. And then we'll add that product with 32. And I'll say that again. We're going to add that product to 32. It's very possible that in that rush to try to get this question right as quickly as you can, you might have settled on the first thing you saw after this calculation. But remember, we have to make the plan to go all the way through. We're not going to be done once we find a convenient number. We're done when we are done. So let's go ahead and focus on the calculation now. We know what we have to plug in. We just did. And now let's multiply. 1.8 and 25 is what we're going to multiply first. Before I do, allow me to fix that terrible handwriting there. Perfect. So let's go ahead and handle the multiplication. As always, when we handle decimals, we're going to be multiplying, ignoring that decimal, and then we'll bring that decimal back. So here we are. 25 multiplied by 1.8. We are going to have 5 times 8, which is going to be 40, and we'll carry that 4. Then we have 2 multiplied by 8, which is 16. Carry that 4, and that gets us to 20. Then we'll move forward by adding a 0, because now we're going to start on this place value. So here we are. We'll have 5 multiplied by 1, and then 2 multiplied by 1. Add all this together, and we end up what seems like 450. However, everybody, how many decimal places are we bringing back? Just 1. Because on the top here, no decimal places. On the bottom, we have 1 right there. Again, it's both of these together that we add up the decimals for. Thankfully, we only had 1 to deal with, so we bring 1 back. So there we are. We have 45, and this is the part where you can be victim to getting got. It's not going to be D. It is not going to be D. We have to go ahead and finish the problem because we have 45 from this part here. We have 45. And now we're adding 32. And once we do that, 45 plus 32, that leaves us with a final result here of 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's what makes the correct answer not D, but actually A. Again, 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And there we go. So next problem up. First thing we always do, read the question sentence first. What is it that we want? What are we looking for here? And it says, what is the area of the lot? That's the biggest key word that I can ask for when it comes to math, especially when it comes to geometry-based problems, because those keywords are always going to be there in some way, shape, or form. So we clearly see that it says area of the lot, but what we have to be careful about is what shape we are dealing with, everyone. Remember, different shapes have different area formulas, so we must take the moment to point out that it says a rectangular parking lot. So once we have that, we have to spit out that formula immediately because we see area, we see we are dealing with a rectangle, so we are going to snap our attention to that formula, which is area of a rectangle equals the length multiplied by the width. Just like that. So we have our area formula lined up, and let's understand what information we're given. Because to find the area, which is what we're looking for, we're going to need the length and the width given to us. And we see that right here. 25 meters long, 16 meters wide. We have the information we need to plug in. So right here for the length, I'll plug in 25. For that width, I'll plug in 16. And it looks like to get my area, I'm going to have to multiply 25 by 16, which I'll do right over here. 25 times 16, 5 multiplied by 6, that'll be 30. And we'll carry that 3. Then we have 2 multiplied by 6, which is 12. Carry that 3, that'll be 15. Next up, we're going to bring it down right over here to this next line. And we're going to now begin with the 1. So 5 times 1, that'll be 5. And then we have 2 times 1, that'll end up being 2. Add this all together, and we have ourselves 0. 5 plus 5 is 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 2, that's 4. And there we go. We see that our area that we have been looking for this entire time is 400 square meters. And again, it is square meters because we are multiplying meters by meters, and that's where square meters comes from. Nonetheless, everyone, the correct answer here is answer choice D, 400 square meters.